When a tech mogul mocked a janitor's daughter with an impossible musical challenge, he never expected what happened next. "Play this and I'll give you $50 million, he sneered, waving sheet music no child should be able to read. It was meant to humiliate. It was meant to entertain his wealthy guests. But in the shadows stood a 7-year-old girl who would turn his cruelty into something extraordinary and uncover a secret that would shake his empire to its core. The gleaming floors of tech billionaire Ryan Cross's Seattle penthouse reflected nothing but cold perfection. 8-year-old Luna Vasquez pressed herself against the marble archway, watching her mother work with the silent grace that came from years of trying to be invisible. Maria Vasquez moved like a whisper around the massive Steinway piano, her cleaning cloth catching the afternoon light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Elliott Bay. The piano was worth more than their entire apartment building, a beast of ebony and ivory that dominated the vast living room like a sleeping giant. Luna clutched her worn picture book, but her eyes weren't on the pages. They followed her mother's hands, then drifted to the piano keys. Her small fingers twitched against her book, unconsciously playing melodies only she could hear. Maria hummed softly as she polished, a haunting tune that seemed to float through the air like a prayer. It was their song, passed down from Luna's great-grandmother, a melody that spoke of home and loss and hope. The front door slammed open with corporate authority. Ryan Cross strode in, his phone pressed to his ear, his voice sharp with the confidence of a man who'd built a tech empire before his 35th birthday. "I don't care about the patents," he barked into the device. "Buy the whole startup. If they resist, remind them what happened to Meridian Tech when they said no to me." He ended the call and tossed his phone onto Italian leather furniture without looking. His cold gray eyes swept the room, landing on Maria with the dismissive glance one gives to furniture. "Are you finished yet?" His tone carried the impatience of someone who'd never been told to wait. "I have investors arriving in 30 minutes. This place needs to be flawless." "Almost done, Mr. Cross," Maria whispered, keeping her eyes on the piano's surface. Cross poured himself expensive whiskey, ice clinking like warning bells. As he turned, he noticed Luna in the archway. His eyes narrowed. Children were not part of his sterile world. "What is that?" He gestured toward Luna with his glass as if she were an unwelcome insect. Maria's heart stopped. "My daughter Luna, sir. Her school had early dismissal. She's being very quiet." "I don't pay you to run a daycare," Cross said flatly. "This won't happen again." Maria's face burned with shame. "Yes, sir. It won't happen again."
Before we continue, please comment below where you are watching from, and don't forget to subscribe.
Cross's guests began arriving. Tech moguls, venture capitalists, and social media influencers whose laughter echoed off the high ceilings. They filled the space with loud conversations about stock options, cryptocurrency, and expensive toys. Cross enjoyed being the center of their universe. He refilled his glass and positioned himself near the piano, catching sight of Maria trying to slip away unnoticed. An ugly idea formed in his mind. "Everyone," he called out, silencing the chatter. "I want to share something amusing." The crowd turned toward him expectantly. He pointed theatrically at Maria, who froze like a deer in headlights. "Our help here seems fascinated by my piano. I've caught her staring at it all afternoon." His lips curved into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I suspect we have hidden talent among the staff." Murmurs of amusement rippled through the crowd. Maria felt their eyes stripping away her invisibility, leaving her exposed and humiliated. "What do you say?" Cross continued, his voice dripping with condescension. "Should we request a performance?" "No, sir." Maria shook her head, her voice barely audible. "I don't play." "Nonsense!" Cross boomed, relishing the spectacle. He walked to the piano and picked up a piece of sheet music, Chopin's Ballade No. 1, a notoriously complex piece that challenged even master pianists. He held it up for his guests to see, ensuring they were all witnesses to his grand mockery. "I'm feeling generous tonight," he announced, his voice carrying across the room. "Play this," he said, tapping the sheet music, "and I'll give you $50 million. Shocked laughter erupted from the crowd. The amount was so absurd it could only be a joke, a billionaire's cruel prank highlighting the impossible gulf between his world and theirs. Maria's face burned with humiliation so intense it felt physical. She heard the snickers, saw the pitying looks, felt her dignity crumbling under their entertainment. Then a small, clear voice cut through the laughter. "My mom is tired." Every head turned. Luna stepped out from the archway, her small face serious, her dark eyes fixed on Ryan Cross. There was no fear in her expression, only calm determination. She walked across the marble floor, her footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. She stopped beside her mother and took Maria's trembling hand. Then she looked up at the billionaire and spoke with a clarity that stunned the room. "But I can play it for you." The silence that followed was absolute. Guests stared in confusion, looking from the tiny girl to the mortified mother to Cross, who seemed momentarily speechless. Cross recovered with a harsh laugh. "Well, this gets better. The little mouse thinks she can roar." His guests joined in, but their laughter had a different quality now. Amazement at the child's audacity mixed with anticipation of her inevitable failure. "Maria, no," Maria whispered, trying to pull Luna back. "Let's go, please." But Luna gently freed her hand and looked up at Cross. "Is it a real promise? If I play the music, you'll give my mama the money?" Cross leaned down, speaking as if to a toddler. "It's very real, little one. You play that piece, and your mother never has to clean another floor." He straightened, spreading his arms theatrically. "But tell me, do you even know how to read music?" Luna didn't answer his question. Instead, she walked to the enormous piano bench. It came up to her chest. With determination, she climbed onto it, her legs dangling far above the pedals. She looked at the sheet music, her small brow furrowing as she studied the complex notation. Then she looked up, her eyes finding her mother's across the room. She gave Maria a small, reassuring nod. Luna placed her hands on the keys and took a deep breath. The room held its collective breath, anticipating the clumsy plinking sure to come. The first notes weren't a plink. They flowed from the piano with power and precision that defied explanation. The opening of Chopin's Ballade, famously difficult chords requiring strength Luna's small hands shouldn't possess, rang out perfectly. Cross's smirk vanished. He took a step forward, his eyes wide with disbelief. The melody began to unfold, a complex tapestry of sound that Luna wove with effortless grace. Her fingers danced across the keys with controlled speed and confidence. She swayed slightly with the rhythm, not just playing the notes but interpreting them, breathing life into them. The music was filled with profound emotion, sorrow, longing, hope, impossible depths coming from an 8-year-old girl. The guests' amusement transformed into awe, then stunned silence. A venture capitalist slowly lowered his champagne, mouth agape. A woman in designer dress leaned forward, tears forming in her eyes. Maria wept. Not from humiliation now, but from pride and love mixed with trembling fear. This wasn't the simple music she'd taught Luna on their old keyboard at home. This was something beyond a gift, something else entirely. The music swelled to a thundering crescendo, Luna's small frame a blur of motion, her focus absolute. She had forgotten the room, the people, the cruel billionaire. She was alone with the music, lost in a world only she understood. As the piece reached its powerful conclusion, Luna's playing softened. The final notes hung in the air like prayers, then faded into perfect silence. For a long moment, no one moved. Then applause erupted, not polite clapping but thunderous ovation. Shouts of bravo filled the room. Several guests were openly weeping. Cross stood frozen, his face pale. The cruel joke had backfired spectacularly. He'd made a promise in front of Seattle's most influential people, a promise for $50 million, and an 8-year-old girl had just met his challenge. A respected music patron in the crowd stepped forward. "Mr. Cross, I've heard the world's greatest pianists." What this child just did. He shook his head in wonder. It's impossible. Where did she study? Before anyone could answer, a sharp-eyed journalist turned to Cross. "You made a promise, Mr. Cross." The world will want to know how Seattle's youngest tech mogul honors his word. Cross was trapped. His reputation, built on his word being his bond, hung in the balance. Every eye in the room watched him, waiting. With shaking hands, he pulled out his checkbook. The scratching of his pen was the only sound as he wrote a figure that would bankrupt most people, but save his reputation. He tore out the check and handed it to Maria without looking at her. "Take it," he said through gritted teeth. "Now, leave." But Maria stared at the impossible number, feeling something was wrong. This wasn't generosity. It was a price, the price of their silence. "Mr. Cross," she said quietly, finding strength she didn't know she possessed, "where did you get that specific piece of music?" Cross's face darkened. "What does it matter?" "My great-grandmother," Maria continued, her voice growing stronger. "She was a pianist in Barcelona before the war. She used to hum this melody. She said it was written by a composer who never made it to America, that his music was lost forever." The journalist's eyes sharpened. A lost composition? That would be worth investigating. Cross realized the nightmare was just beginning. This wasn't just about honoring a bet anymore. It was about questions he couldn't answer, about a past his family had buried, about music that should have stayed lost. Luna looked up from the piano bench, her innocent eyes holding impossible wisdom. "The music told me its story," she said softly. "It's about someone far from home who just wanted to go back to where the orange trees grow." The room fell silent again. The child had done more than play impossible music. She had revealed its soul, and in doing so, she had opened a door to secrets that would change everything.